Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions. We've got another Stoke City vlogcast. With me as always is Jan. How are you doing?
I'm alright, thanks son. Hi everyone, I hope you're all okay.
So, today we've had some big news as far as Stoke City's concerned, in that Gary Rowett is no longer the Stoke City manager. Now, normally at this part of the vlog we would actually discuss the previous game against Shrewsbury. But we've decided between us that because it's a replay game, we are actually going to cover the majority of the Shrewsbury match in that game, in that preview for the next episode. So we'll leave that there, but just the general thoughts on the result as it was, because I think it's pretty obvious what that would be.
Depressing.
Yeah, it was quite obvious Rowett's position was untenable before and after. You know, going into it, he looked like a dead man walking, but to be honest, the Shrewsbury game was like watching him on the chopping block.
Yeah. He got no interest of being there at all. The players didn't want to be there. Not one of them wanted to be there.
I mean, it's quite strange this, to be honest, because I recorded the Shrewsbury game footage and this Brentford footage on the same day. And for this one, for the Brentford game, I actually did pick a completely different team to what I usually do, in the sense I didn't go for what Rowett would go for. I went for something that I thought maybe a new manager might lean towards. And I think it's because I had a gut feeling he'd be gone by this point, you know, and I think everyone else surrounding the club thought that. But I've got to admit, as Saturday and Sunday dragged on a bit, I did think, are they going to do anything?
Yeah, I must admit I was a bit shocked when I read it this morning. I was expecting it to be Sunday morning or even late Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely delayed it, but the only reason I can assume they've delayed it is because they've had to make arrangements around it. Either they've had to get rid of staff, or maybe they're waiting to make sure they've got a replacement lined up.
Well, how it read, everybody's gone apart from Delap, haven't they?
Yeah, and I can't help but think there's a little bit of overkill there. You know, I'm not saying that they all did the jobs well, otherwise they wouldn't have got the sack, but equally I'm thinking, you know, we brought in a lot of coaches over that spell. I don't know why we didn't keep one or two on just to help the transition period, a bit like how we did last year with Eddie Nedwazicki and then let him go to join News. I'm surprised we didn't just say to a few of them, do you mind helping Rory and Kevin and Andy out? But for whatever reason, they obviously wanted a clean sweep, and I mean, if that's the case, you know, and they really wanted the clean sweep, I can't blame them, but equally it's like, that is a surprise bit of news.
Yeah. I mean, after the match, he must have known that the noose was round his neck.
I think he knew at the end of the Bristol City game, to be fair, just how the fans had reacted. And I've got to admit, I have been disgusted with the majority of them there. I mean, I hate talking down on Stoke supporters, but I get the feeling there were too many of them who were ready to jump on the first bad spell Rowett had after that unbeaten run.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been talking to a few today, and the general consensus has been that the unbeaten run disguised poor performances. And I'm not disagreeing entirely there, but it is as if they were waiting. And as soon as that bad result came, and then you get the comments with Bolton, it's just like a massive pile-on. And I'm not saying that Rowett didn't deserve to go in the end as far as poor decisions and maybe poor recruitment. But equally, I'm thinking the fans certainly didn't help the situation, in the sense that maybe given a bit more time he could have done better than he did.
I think, though, his time might come. I know what you've just said.
I mean, I'm not challenging it in that sense. I'm just a little disappointed in the Stoke supporters, because I think they could have handled their reputation better a little bit.
Yeah, I've never known the Stoke supporters like this, to be honest. Not as bad anyway, but it's everyone to their own. You're all entitled to react how you reacted, and, you know, I can't really say anything about it.
I mean, the way I'm looking at it is, I'm actually quite disgusted how some of them are relishing in it, in the sense of, you know, I don't know about anyone else listening to this, but I am someone who's been sacked from a job in the past, and it was a horrible feeling having to walk home that day. And you think to yourself, Gary Rowett, despite all his faults as a human being, you know, and you think, just show him a bit of respect. Fair enough, you got him out, but you don't need to go and, relish it.
No.
The way I see it is, he's not Stoke City manager anymore, we move on. But you don't need to go and say, oh, thanks, we're having a party now and all this rubbish, I think.
No, I don't agree with that.
Just
He's
show a bit of class.
And leave the guy alone.
And I think there's just a few there that aren't showing class.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's that as far as that bit's concerned. But moving forward, it's a bit confusing about who's likely to take over. I mean, it's only hours since we heard the news he'd gone. But the names that seem to be favourites are David Moyes, who's sort of been mentioned for the past week, and we've got Nathan Jones of Luton Town. And I must admit, I've heard of Luton's good form, but I didn't really... Well, they weren't on my radar that much, I'll admit, so I know they've been doing well, but I certainly wasn't keeping tabs on them.
No, and I'm not happy about who has been mentioned, to be honest. David Moyes, I just don't think he fits in at Stoke. We want a manager who will come in and give him a good rollicking when needs be, and he needs to be in charge. And my own personal view is, I think that the players took over, and no matter what Rowett said to them, they did what they wanted, and there's nothing he could do about it. He could keep telling them on that touchline to get into position and do this and do that, and they took not a blind bit of notice, and I just think that they were there for themselves.
I mean, this is the point when you're sort of looking at it, and I find it strange that players could be like that. I mean, I'm not saying they aren't, but it's like, for a few weeks now I've been saying that I don't feel like players make enough forward runs or create enough opportunities for the teammates. I keep going back to that free kick where Eric had to square it to Ryan Woods, who then passed all the way back to Butland. And you think, it's them sort of situations that we didn't seem to create chances from, and it doesn't seem, well, at the time it didn't seem that Rowett was encouraging that. It's as if he was saying, come on, create a chance, and obviously they weren't. So it makes you wonder if it's the quality of the players or the quality of coaching. And this is where we will find out, because for good or for bad, we're having a change of coach. So we're going to see if a change of coach can change the quality of the players.
I still think it depends who they bring in. As I say, I don't think Moyes is strong enough for our club.
I think the one thing putting me off Moyes, it's nothing to do with Sunderland or West Ham, but it's Man United, oddly enough, in the sense that I think going into that job, yes, it was probably the toughest job anyone could have, even so following Sir Alex, but it was a big dressing room with big characters, and he didn't handle that bit well, I don't feel. He sort of got on the wrong side of the likes of Rio Ferdinand, and maybe not completely the wrong side, but he tried phasing them out when perhaps they weren't ready for it. And I'm not saying that he'd do the same at Stoke, but I get the feeling if he got on the wrong side of Ryan, or even if he didn't pick Bowie on, or some weird things like that, I think the fans would get on his back, but also the dressing room would turn on him straight away.
Yeah, I feel horrible when I say I think he's weak, because I don't know him.
This is the thing, right?
I'm just going by what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dressing room is too strong at the moment, in the sense that if they don't like something, they don't really play well. They don't try and buy into it. They just sort of, turn up, pick up the wage, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to work out what they want. The only thing I could really say as a fan is if the board have actually gone to the players and said, tell us how you want to play, and then find a manager who can do that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can suggest, because
I can't imagine them doing that, though.
I can't imagine any club doing that. But the thing is, that is the only way I can imagine this squad actually performing well, because they just don't seem to want to play in a specific style. You've tried possession football, they aren't good at it. Long ball doesn't really suit the players we got either, so we're sort of stuck in a quasi state where, we aren't exactly doing good in any shape or form.
What my hope is that, like Manchester United, they were in this position where they didn't want to play with Mourinho. And they made it quite clear that they didn't by the performances. And I'm hoping that when we have a new manager, coach, or wherever they are these days, then I hope that we can go like United have and lift up and just look at the wins they've been getting.
There's something that is getting me besides all this, and it's the idea that apparently the Stoke board, or at least members of the hierarchy, have been saying that they believe that we've got one of, if not the best squad in the Championship, and that we should be doing better. And I can't help but look at this squad of players and go, really? You think we're one of, if not the best? Don't get me wrong, I think we should be doing better than we are, but equally, I think getting in the playoffs is just about possible, and I'm saying that as in if we'd have had a full season. I'm not saying we can do it now, but it's like I'm looking and thinking you've got a lot of players on the wrong side of 30. The younger players are doing okay but not really stepping up, and I'm looking at the likes of Edwards, who again had an iffy game the other day, and you're just looking and thinking there's not anyone who's really grabbing this team by the scruff of the neck. No. Tyrese Campbell's become a big hope, just in the sense that he put in a good cameo performance against Shrewsbury, and you're thinking, as much as I want Tyrese to do well, that is a lot of pressure for the lad. And we really need reinforcements in January, and I'm concerned now because if the club are coming out with lines like that they think this squad is up there already, then it makes me wonder what's going to happen in January. Are they going to just sit on the laurels because they think, we're good enough, just the coach has been doing bad?
Yeah, I mean, I've just listened to Central News, as you have, and the reporter said that we've got the most expensive team in the league.
We've got the highest wage bill, and we spent 35 million in the summer, including, I think, the Woods and Afobe transfers. I think, anyway, it might be more including them. And I can understand people's point of view there. We have spent a lot of money, but I would also counter that by saying we needed to spend a lot of money. There were arguments in the summer of 2017 we needed to spend money before we got relegated, but we didn't. So the spend we had in the summer was really just to rectify the previous summer's problems.
I can't understand them getting rid of Johnny Walters, me. He was always there for a good backup.
The thing for me is, and Glenn, I think both of their times have come at the club. The problem is we didn't replace them effectively. I think with Ryan Woods we've come close enough to replacing Glenn. I'm not saying he's as good as, but I think he's in that mould. But Johnny, we haven't found an adequate replacement for him. James McLean might have a similar work ethic, but he's certainly not got the quality to go alongside it.
I know Johnny's a pensioner, and I keep saying get the pensioners out, but I still think that Johnny had a good 2 years, 2 good seasons in him.
Well, the way I look at it is he's injured at the moment, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. No. I get your point. It's certainly the type of character we need in this situation. Someone who's willing to roll the sleeves up and put 7 out of 10 every week, even if they can't always hit the 8s and 9s.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating because I've been having a conversation today about Afobe and the idea of why did we sign him if he isn't suited to the shape we were playing. And my argument was that if you're a coach, you're going to try and implement a system, and you think to yourself, right, this player might not actually suit the system, but he's a good goal scorer, so what I'll do is I'll see if I can train him to play my way. And obviously Bennett didn't really adapt well, so the only thing I can think is, will the new coach come in and try and play to Bennett's strengths so that we've got goals in the team again?
Yeah, I mean, we need the players playing in the right positions.
I mean, it's not necessarily the right positions, but the right style, because, the argument that this guy I was talking to on Twitter had is, Bennick is a poacher and we were treating him like a target man. And I'm thinking, okay, fair enough, but equally I think players should be adaptable, especially if you're spending £12 million on them. I know that might be the old £5 million, but you still think to yourself, you want value for money.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 12 millions and,
yeah,
to me that is just pocket money really to some clubs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what gets me is that we're always frightened of going in the red. Why not just splash out on a good player who could do good things for us?
It does make me wonder if Bet365 can afford to, spread the cash out a little bit more via a sponsorship deal. I mean, I don't know how these things work with financial fair play. I am going to assume there is a rule that prevents it, similar to how Man City at the moment are currently under investigation for perhaps putting too much money into the club. But I don't know if there is some way of maybe just increasing the sponsorship money a little bit just so that we can afford to buy an extra player or two a season.
I mean, one good striker would do us.
Yeah.
And we definitely need a defence.
I've been saying it today that for me the priorities in January, whoever the manager was, were to get a centre-half in who could replace or play alongside either Shawcross or Martins Indy. Even though Williams hasn't done bad all the time, I think he's not the long-term, he isn't the solution at Stoke.
No.
So someone to play alongside one of them two, and then a midfielder who could play on the wing, who's creative and can pick a pass. It doesn't have to be both. It could be just a midfielder, it could be a winger, but someone who can actually create us chances.
Bowie.
Now, that name's been thrown around a lot, and this is where I am going to get interested, because if the next manager says, you know what, I just don't think he's cut out for the Championship, are Stoke fans going to accept it? In the sense that 4 managers, essentially, if we're counting the time Paul Lambert didn't choose to recall him, will they accept that maybe Bowie's time has come? Because, if he comes back, I'm going to be happy, because Bowie's got a very infectious attitude about himself that, he smiles, it makes everyone else smile. But equally, if he has been a bit of a negative influence on the team in the last couple of months, just for the fact that if he hasn't been in the team, people are saying, well, he's got to be better than him, surely.
Yeah.
So, if it turns out that he isn't actually better than the other options because, for whatever reason, a manager thinks, you know what, for all his good, he's got a bit of bad as well that maybe you lot don't see, I wonder if the fans are going to accept it.
I don't know. I can't answer that question, son.
Because I recognise all that Bowie out with Rowett wasn't necessarily about Bowie, it was more the fact that surely is an option compared to some of the options we've got.
Yeah.
But equally, it has been a stick to beat Rowett with pretty much since he walked through the door, because I think everyone said straight away he wouldn't be a Rowett player, and it was proven right.
Yeah.
But the way I'm looking at it is, what happens if he's not a Nathan Jones or a David Moyes player? What do we do then? Do we carry on this Bowie FC thing, or do we actually accept his time has come at the club? And I hope the supporters come to a logical answer there.
I mean, if they don't choose him at all, then we've just got to accept that he isn't fitting in.
Because my thing is, I want us to get someone in who essentially replaces what Bowie offers. Someone who's a bit physical but can pick a pass and score goals. I mean, it's not easy, I grant that, but it's something we've got to look for.
Well, that's why I said Bowie, because you were describing a player that you wanted, and in my eyes, we've got one in Bowie.
Well, we're going to leave it there because we've got about 3 minutes to discuss Brentford, and Brentford supporters, we are sorry that we're having to leave this very short, but I hope you understand it's been a busy day for Stoke. We're just going to quickly talk about Brentford's stats, so do you want to read them out?
Very quickly, they've won 6, drawn 10, lost 10, and they're currently in 18th. Amazing. The top scorer is Neil Morpay.
Yeah, I think...
Morpay, with 15 goals, and Ollie Watkins on 7. Now, this is what caught my eye. Yellow cards, they got 18, and red 2. 5 yellow were against Birmingham, and another 5 against Bristol.
Were they recently?
Recently. So in my eyes, they are going to tackle us like crazy.
Well, the interesting thing as well is, the reason I asked if it was recent is because I remember the won or drew those games. I can't remember exactly, but I know they've gone 4 games unbeaten. And I can't help but think they've just come into a little bit of form after what I would describe as a very poor start for Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
And it isn't a great time to go to them, but on the other hand, their league position could be a benefit if we get the new manager bounce.
Yeah.
So let's hope we have a new manager so that we can get the bounce, because even if it's Rory, we do need a lift after what's gone on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that, what are your predictions?
Well, I've gone 1-0 to Stoke.
I think I'm going to have to be a bit bold here and go 2-0 Stoke, in the sense that I think we've got to hope that it's a good day. And, you know, I've got respect for Brentford, even though they've had a poor poor middle half of the season, shall we call it. I think losing Dean Smith was a big blow to them, and I'm just hoping that we can take advantage of maybe Thomas Frank still settling in.
I just hope we see a different Stoke City.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to be on our game, which we haven't been a lot of the time this season, and Brentford will have to be a little bit off their game after maybe a week off.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tricky, but fingers crossed the new era, whoever it's under at Stoke, gets off to a good start.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, folks.
But if you've got any thoughts on the situation at Stoke at the moment, leave a comment in the comments section. Share this video on any social media networks. Any likes or comments, we always appreciate them. Other than that, all we've got to say is thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, have a good week, folks, and we'll see you in the next video.
Next video we will discuss the Brentford result, and we'll be talking about the Shrewsbury game in more detail, plus the upcoming replay, so we hope to see you there.
Okay, bye folks.
Bye everyone.